You don't lose conversations because you lack intelligence. You lose them because your body panics when respect is on the line. You call it being clear, but it's over-explaining. You call it being nice, but it's approval-seeking. And people feel it, so they smile, then downgrade you. In the next minute, you're going to see the operator behind it, Jung's Shadow, and you're going to get a protocol to stop it before your tone betrays you. You enter the conversation with a clean plan, then your mouth opens and the plan disappears. A small heat rises behind your eyes. Your throat goes dry. Your jaw tightens, releases, tightens again. You start with one point, then you add a second point to protect the first, then a third point to protect the second. By the end, you are not speaking. You are negotiating for safety. Afterward, you replay it, not because you love drama, because your body felt the shift. That moment, your tone changed. That moment, you laughed too early. That moment, you offered extra context nobody asked for. That moment, you watched their face and adjusted your entire self to keep it smooth. That is the betrayal. Not the other person, not the topic. The part of you that shows up when stakes appear. Jung called it the shadow, not a monster, a displaced operator. The traits you disowned, the motives you refused to admit, the hunger you trained yourself to hide. And here is the rule. What's unowned doesn't disappear. What's unowned goes underground. Then it drives. Here is the hard line. You don't lose conversations because you're not smart. You lose them because your shadow is managing exposure. It wants the outcome without the risk of being seen wanting the outcome. And people can feel that. They can't always name it, so they punish it with distance. They smile, then forget you. They agree, then ignore you. They keep you around, but they don't give you leverage. You think you're being polite. You're leaking fear through polish.
You think you're being clear. You're buying permission with extra sentences. You think you're being funny. You're escaping responsibility for your own intensity. The shadow betrays you in the same place every time. The moment before respect would form. Right there. That fraction of a second, when your nervous system decides whether you will stand or perform. And you know the moment because your body whispers, fix it, smooth it, don't let them. This is not a therapy talk. This is a power talk. Because conversation is where rank gets assigned, not by titles, by behavior under pressure. Let's define the target, clean and usable. The shadow is the part of you you reject in yourself, then act out indirectly. Indirectly means tone, timing, micro-behavior, strategic softness, sudden humor, sudden helpfulness, sudden correction. Indirectly means you can pretend you didn't mean it, even while your body did. Trigger comes first. Stakes. A person who can judge you. A person you want. A person who can leave. A person who can approve, promote, invite, exclude. A room with witnesses. A silence that feels like a verdict. The mechanism is simple. If you cannot admit what you want, you cannot steer how you pursue it. So the shadow pursues it for you using disguises. Disguises feel virtuous. Disguises feel reasonable. Disguises feel like personality. The cost is not abstract. The cost is respect. The cost is leverage. The cost is a clean connection. The cost is time spent replaying conversations that already happened, like a prisoner counting footsteps. Correction starts with one brutal move. Stop treating conversation like a courtroom. Stop defending before you are attacked. Stop polishing fear into clarity. You are not here to be safe.
You are here to be clean. Now watch this in yourself. You can spot it before words. Your shoulders rise a millimeter. Your breath gets higher. Your eyes start scanning faces for permission. You feel the urge to preempt,
To soften, to manage. The shadow loves one trick. It turns uncertainty into noise. It cannot tolerate an unanswered look, so it fills the air. Not to communicate, to reduce the threat. Your thumb hovers over send, then adds one more line, then another. You write a final sentence that weakens the entire message, a softener, a permission request, a smile you can't be challenged for, or face to face. You answer a simple question with a speech.
Let me explain. What I'm trying to say is,
You nod while disagreeing. You mirror their opinion before stating yours. You laugh on the exhale, not because it's funny, because it releases pressure. Then you call it friendliness. That is risk management. It feels smart. It is expensive. Here's one name for it: the approval tax. You ask a question, then answer it for them. You offer options you don't want, then blame them for choosing one. You say, "No worries," while your jaw clenches. You apologize for taking space, then wonder why nobody makes room. You end a firm sentence with a rising tone, turning it into a request. That rising tone is not politeness. It is surrender disguised as manners. In plain language, the approval tax is what you pay to avoid discomfort. You pay it in extra words, extra smiles, extra effort. And the shadow believes difficulty equals rejection. So you train people to expect discounts on your boundaries. Correction: stop discounting. If the sentence is true, let it stand. No upward tilt, no rescue, no nervous laugh. Now, here's the contrarian angle most people avoid because it hurts their self-image. Your good traits are often your shadow's favorite costume. Helpfulness can be hunger for control. Humility can be fear of visibility. Open-mindedness can be the avoidance of commitment. Being easygoing can be cowardice with good branding. If you feel insulted, good. That is the point. Because the shadow survives by making you defend the mask. Camouflage is when a trait becomes a shield that prevents direct need. You become the one who listens, so you don't have to ask. You become the one who gives, so you don't have to receive. You become the one who is always reasonable, so you never have to risk being refused. Trigger is a relevant threat. That tiny fear that you are not enough on your own. So you create a role that forces people to keep you close. Not because they respect you, because you are useful. The mechanism is debt. You solve problems to create obligation, then call it kindness. You give advice to maintain position, then call it care. You overfunction to avoid abandonment, then call it loyalty. The cost is brutal. You become valuable, not valued. Valuables get extracted. Values get protected. Trade off truth and don't flinch. When you stop performing usefulness, some people disappear. You lose the comfort of being needed. You gain the clarity of who respects you. Now identify your betrayal styles. You don't have 10 styles. You have 1 or 2 on loop. First, the overexplainer. Overexplaining is trying to outrun judgment with volume. You add context nobody requested. You defend before you're challenged. You flood the room to prevent questions. A raised eyebrow, a long pause, a short reply. The shadow believes more words equals more control.
In reality, more words creates more seams to pull. They stop listening for meaning. They listen for weakness. Answer once, then stop. Second, the joker. Joking is using humor to escape accountability. You make a sharp point, then laugh it away. You turn tension into entertainment. You mock your own statement before anyone else can. Your shadow cannot tolerate being seen as serious. Serious invites evaluation. Cost: your words lose weight. People learn you don't stand behind yourself. Hold your face. Let the point land. Third, the pleaser. Pleasing is trading truth for safety. Fast yes, soft boundaries, automatic agreement.
Then, private resentment. Disapproval hits, and your shadow interprets conflict as abandonment. Cost: you train people to push because you collapse early. Correction: delay your yes. Decide slower than your fear. Fourth, the corrector. Correcting is using precision to avoid vulnerability. You fix details instead of addressing the stake. You win the minor point to avoid the hard conversation. Cost: you become right and untrusted, accurate and disliked. Correction: ask one clean question that targets the real issue, then shut up. Now, the moment that proves this isn't theory. It is 9:12 a.m., a conference room with fluorescent light that makes everyone look tired, even the confident ones. A screen at the front. Your deck is open. Your name on a deliverable that slipped. A team lead with a neutral face, neutral voice, neutral eyes. And understand this: neutrality is not kindness. Neutral is measurement. They say, calmly, "Walk us through what happened." Your stomach drops. Not dramatic, physical. A weight in the gut, a dry mouth. Your fingers start tapping the table, small, fast taps, like your body is trying to escape through rhythm. You begin well, one sentence. Then you notice their eyes. Then you notice someone stop writing. Then you feel heat in your neck. Then the shadow arrives. You add timeline details no one asked for. You mention unrelated blockers. You add a joke, the one that says, "Please don't judge me too hard." You smile. Nobody smiles. A micro-turn happens inside you. You interpret the silence as danger, so you talk more. Now you are not explaining a delay, you are explaining your worth. This is where betrayal sharpens, because you aren't answering their question anymore. You are trying to control how they feel about you, and they can sense it. You can feel the fork. One path is clean, short, exposed. The other path is long, decorated, defended. Your shadow picks the long path because it feels safer. Safer for the ego. Worse for the outcome. They don't punish the delay. They punish instability. Because instability means this person will perform when pressured. Performers are unpredictable. Unpredictable people don't get trust. Hard reframe, and it will sting. A calm sentence with a clean stop would create more respect than 10 minutes of defense. Test it. Every time you over-explain, watch their eyes, not their words, their eyes. They stop searching for clarity and start searching for motive. Because the shadow doesn't speak in content, it speaks in desperation. And you feel it afterward, that hollow, that ache, that loop of replay. You don't fix the shadow by thinking nicer thoughts. You fix it by giving it a job, then denying it the steering wheel. Because the shadow is not an emotion. It is an incentive. An incentive to avoid exposure. An incentive to control how you're read. An incentive to get the reward without paying the social price. So the solution is not confidence. The solution is ownership. Ownership of motive. Ownership of stake. Ownership of behavior. Start with a rule you can feel in your bones. If your goal changes mid-conversation, you are in danger. The moment your goal becomes be liked, be safe, be approved, you will betray yourself. You can detect that moment. Your breathing climbs. Your speech speeds up. Your eyes dart to their face, then away, then back. Your hands get busy, smoothing a sleeve, tapping a finger, gripping a cup too hard. Then the hijack signs appear. You restart sentences. You add disclaimers. You soften your own statement before they respond. You start saying, I'm not trying to, I don't mean, I hope that. Those aren't clarifiers. Those are preemptive pleas. In plain language, a hijack is when conversation becomes self-protection. Trigger: evaluation, rejection risk, authority, attraction, public attention. Your nervous system selects short-term relief over long-term respect. You cannot build a stable reputation on relief, so you choose one objective before you speak, and you tolerate the heat. Now you need a tool that works under pressure, not a concept, a protocol. Shadow Intercept Protocol. Its purpose is simple. Stop unconscious compensation behaviors before they leak into tone and wording. Use it when the room matters, when the person matters, when the outcome matters. Also, when your body starts bargaining for safety. First, name the stake in one sentence. Not what is happening, what could be lost. Respect, trust, access, a future invitation, a clean boundary. If you can't name the stake, your shadow will, and it will name it in the worst way, by acting desperate. Second, name the forbidden motive, the one you prefer not to admit. I want to be seen as competent. I want them to choose me. I want to stop feeling smaller than them. I want to avoid shame. Say it silently. No performance, no confession. You think the naming motive weakens you. It does the opposite. It removes the leak. Leaks happen when motive is denied. And Jung's usable model here is projection. What you refuse to see in yourself, you start detecting in others. You walk into a room convinced they are judging you. Sometimes they are not, but your shadow needs an enemy to justify its armor. Projection is outsourced self-criticism. You put your hidden motives onto their face. Then you defend without shame. And you look unstable. Verify before you react. Ask one clean question. Then wait. Your body will hate the wait. That is the point. Third, choose one clean outcome. One. A decision, a boundary, a request for a standard, a correction, a clear no. Fourth, identify your compensation behavior. Over-explaining, joking, pleasing, correcting. You already know your favorite. Your body reaches for it like sugar. Remove it for 1 minute. 1 minute is enough to prove control. Fifth, use a controlled pause. 2 seconds. Breathe low.
Silence is not emptiness. Silence is a signal. I am not begging. Sixth, speak one sentence, then stop. Let them respond. Do not rescue your sentence with a second sentence. Do not decorate it with a smile. Do not soften it with a laugh. Fail conditions, and this matters. If you use this protocol to manipulate people into liking you, it will backfire. You will sound calculated. This protocol is restraint, not theater. Now return to the conference room. Same fluorescent light, same tired faces. The lead asks, "Walk us through what happened." You feel the old rush, heat in your neck, fingers wanting to tap. You stop them. Stake, respect. Forbidden motive, I want to be seen as reliable. Outcome, set the new standard and remove ambiguity. Compensation to remove overexplaining. You pause. 2 seconds. It feels long. It's not long. It's discipline. You say, "The deliverable slipped because I underestimated review time. The new date is Thursday at 3 p.m. I need approval on scope by noon today to hit it." Then you stop. They ask one follow-up. You answer it in one sentence. You stop again. Watch what changes. Their posture shifts, not dramatically, subtly. They stop scanning you for motive and start scanning you for competence. Trade off truth. You lose the dopamine of sounding impressive. You gain the status of sounding stable. Stable people get trusted with more. Now you need language that holds shape under pressure. Exact phrases you can deploy while your body is hot. First, "Give me 10 seconds. I want to answer cleanly." Use it when you feel the rush to fill space. Second, "Here is the single point that matters." Then you can challenge it. Use it when you're about to flood the room. Third, "I'm not available for vague expectations." Name the standard. Use it when someone keeps you in uncertainty so they can move the goalposts. Clarity is leverage. Now apply this to text, because the shadow loves distance. Distance lets it edit. Distance lets it overwork. You send one clear ask, then you stare at the screen. Chest tightens, thumb hovers. You add a second message to soften the first. Then a third, explaining why you asked. Then an emoji you don't even like. In plain language, the double text is a social bribe. No immediate reply, and your shadow interprets silence as rejection, so it offers discounts. You train people to delay you because you will pay in extra effort. Send once, then stop. Do not chase your own sentence. If they want access, they will answer. Watch for the soft question mark. You turn statements into questions, then wonder why people treat you as uncertain. You write, "I can do Tuesday if that works." You meant Tuesday. Say Tuesday. Now sharpen it with 3 contrasts. Do this. State your position in one sentence, then stop. Not that. Build a wall of context to prevent judgment. Do this. Hold silence after your point. Not that. Laugh, soften, or rescue explain to stay comfortable. Do this. Ask for the standard, the timeline, the decision. Not that. Ask for reassurance disguised as questions. You will feel rude. Good. That feeling is your shadow's withdrawal symptom. It hates losing the approval drip. Now, a second scene, shorter but precise. It is 11:47 p.m. You are on a date. Across from someone who answers in half sentences. Their phone lights up twice. They glance down, then back up, then smile like nothing happened. You feel the old urge to perform, to become interesting enough to hold them. The shadow offers a familiar deal. Talk more, be funnier, be easier. Do not risk calling the disrespect what it is. The clean response is simple. You slow your pace. You take a sip. you let the silence widen. Then you say one sentence. I'm not competing with your phone. Then you stop. No anger, no speech. One line. Watch the fork. If they respect you, they correct you. If they don't, they punish you with attitude. Either way, you get information.
Now run a self-test. 5 questions. Answer without excuses. 1. When challenged, do you speed up your speech? 2. Do you add jokes right after saying something serious? 3. Do you explain your intentions before anyone doubts them? 4. Do you agree quickly, then resent it later? 5. Do you correct details to avoid naming the real stake? If you answered yes to 2 or more, the shadow is active in conversation. Not as an identity, as a pattern. Now, the status question. You ask, is that okay? When you already know it's okay. You ask, are you mad? When you are afraid of your own boundary. You ask, do you get what I mean? Because you want reassurance, not clarity. That is the shadow converting adulthood into permission-seeking. Now, audit yourself fast. 7 items. 1. I know the stake of this conversation. 2. I know my forbidden motive. 3. I chose one outcome. 4. I removed my compensation behavior for 1 minute. 5. I used a 2-second pause at least once. 6. I spoke in single sentences when it mattered. 7. I let discomfort exist without rescuing the room. If you can't check at least 5, you are improvising. Improvising feels free. Improvising is where the shadow wins. Now the protocol is for 7 days, measurable. Day 1, shadow log. After every meaningful conversation, write 1 line. What did I attempt to control? Tone, perception, outcome. Minimum 3 logs. Day 2, 1 minute clean speech. In one conversation, speak only in single sentences for 1 minute. No disclaimers, no jokes. 1 successful minute. Day 3, silence reps. Use a 2-second pause after a key sentence 3 times. 3 pauses. Day 4, compensation removal. Remove your default betrayal style in 1 high-stakes talk. 1 talk, no relapse. Day 5, standard demand. Use this phrase. I'm not available for vague expectations. Name the standard. 1 standard was clarified. Day 6, boundary without heat. Say no once without explanation. No apology, no lecture. Clean no, clean next step. Day 7, live intercept. Run the steps before a conversation, then review after. What changed, what resisted, what improved. Now, the final mirror. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is your unclaimed power. It betrays you because it wants protection. But protection without ownership becomes sabotage. And if you keep letting it drive, it will keep choosing comfort over respect again and again, until you look back and realize you've been performing in rooms you were meant to command. So here is the experiment, small on purpose. 3 days, 1 minute per day. Choose 1 compensation behavior: overexplaining, joking, pleasing, correcting. Remove it for 1 minute in a real conversation. Do not announce it, do not perform it. Do it silently. Then track the result. Who leaned in? Who got clearer? Who resisted? Who suddenly respected your boundary? Comment your data, not your story, your data. In the next video, we go darker. Lao Tzu's silent domination. How soft power rewrites your will.